Welcome to day 18. We are focusing on core and upper body today. So for those of you that need that extra push for your upper body workout, this is going to be it. As always, we're focusing on the little muscles that surround the joints, and we're trying to be mindful about what we do. And that's going to help quiet the mind, help with de-stressing, but also add quality to your movement and quality to your workout practice. So you don't need anything else apart from the mat, a little bit of water to stay hydrated, which I've got mine, and we'll get started. So we're going to start with our warm up to begin with. We're going to bring the shoulders up to the ears and roll them back down away from the ears. You're creating big circles and you're looking for that crunch through the neck as you bring the shoulders up, but you're also looking for that deep stretch as you roll it down. Change direction and use the breath for this. So you never believe what I did a couple days ago. Just by picking up my daughter, I end up pulling my left shoulder, so it feels a little bit clunky, a little bit knotty. So this warm-up will actually help to get some mobilization out of this shoulder. And it's also my bad shoulder that I injured about 20 years ago, so haven't been helping myself. Last big circle. Roll forwards through the spine, set the hands down on the ground as we come into a tabletop position. Gently pushing through the hands, rounding the back as you lift the belly button for cat pose, and then rolling down through the base of the spine, belly button to ground, chest lifts for cow. So we're arching to space out and stretch the front of the body and rounding the back to find that space through the back of the body. Use the breath to help facilitate this stretch. And let it create that rhythm for you. Lovely. Find a neutral spine, and then we're going to come back into a kneeling position and find that length through the spine. Okay, so nice neutral, long through the spine. We're going to float both arms up overhead, draw the shoulders away from the ears as you do, but stretch through the fingertips, and then float the hands back down. Looking for mobility through the shoulders, but also good alignment through the spine. So you want to keep the core engaged and avoid that arching of the lower back as you reach over your head. Last arm float, big stretch. And then we're going to come into a side seated twist, taking the right hand on the outside of the left thigh, looking over the back shoulder. Again, loads of length through the spine. Inhale, send the arms overhead, and exhale, twist over to the other side. Inhale, float the arms overhead. One more time on each side as we start to generate some heat and mobility through the spine. Float the arms overhead. And last, a seated twist. So bring the hands back overhead, and then we're going to take the left wrist on the out around the right thigh. We're going to take the left wrist around the right wrist, and then take a side bend over to the right. Can you believe I still didn't get the words right? Pull the elbows back, so you're opening the chest and opening the left edge of the body. With the inhale, come back up to center, length through the spine, and let's take the right hand around the left wrist and stretch over to the left. Keep the hips down, anchored towards the ground. And then gently pull that upper shoulder back to open the chest. Inhale, find length through the spine. Let's do it one more time on each side. Inhale, length through the spine. Exhale, over to the left. One final time. Inhale, straighten up. And then float the arms down by your side. Roll the shoulders back. So we're taking the arms out to the side, shoulders drawn away from the ears, and we're pulling the elbows back, squeezing the shoulder blades, and then we're going to turn towards the left. Big squeeze. Can bend the elbows to take a little bit of pressure off the shoulders. Come back to center with the inhale, and then bring the hands together. Open up, big squeeze, twist over to the right. Hips stay facing forwards, come back to center. Bring the arms together, relax the shoulders. One final time on both sides. Squeeze your upper back, twist over to the left, and bring it back. Big hug, and then pull apart. Big squeeze and twist. And back to center. Now take the arms and wrap them around your chest. Draw the shoulders down, and then tuck the chin. Roll the head from side to side, drawing the right ear to right shoulder and opposite side, left ear to left shoulder. And finally, bring the head back to center, length through the spine. And let's come down onto our back. So we're nice and warmed up. Roll down onto the back. Draw the heels towards the hips. Bring the thighs together. And then take your feet into tabletop. Tuck the chin and lift head and chest up towards the thighs. Float the hands towards or past your hips. Begin to pump the hands for 100. Nice and strong. Working through the core to stabilize the spine. It's the last little bit of our warm-up before we really start to work the core and the abs and your upper body. Remember, find that loose and relaxed sensation through the throat, that length through the back of the neck, stability through the shoulders. 2 more breaths. Last one. Beautiful. Extend the arms overhead, send the feet down to the ground and stretch. Find length through the entire spine. Keep the back of the legs on the ground. And then we are rolling up to a seated position. Flex the feet and extend through the crown of the head as you reach forwards and roll down through the spine. Rolling up through the spine, tucking your hips and then rolling down to the ground. Roll up, using the core. Keep the back of the legs glued to the mat. Spine stretch. Try and keep the shoulders drawn away from the ears as you roll up into your spine. Stretch. And from spine stretch, roll back up into a seated position. And then place the hands down behind you. Bend through the knees. We're going to take one knee bent, drawing the heel in, extending through the opposite leg. As we come into a reverse tabletop, push down through the arms, fingertips facing you. Lift through the hips, squeezing the buttocks. And roll down through the spine, back of the legs. And lift, big squeeze. So the bent knee or that bent leg is doing the work to elevate the hips. Last one. And slowly roll down. we're going to change side. Keep that length through the spine, that core engagement. Lift through the hips and slowly roll down through the back of the legs. And up, pressing through that flat foot, squeezing the glutes, keeping the hips nice and stable. Last time. Pressing down into the back of that heel through the extended leg to keep the hips level. Roll down with control. And extend through both legs. Beautiful work. So next movement is a saw. You can take the legs slightly wider than shoulder width. Bend knees if you want to take some pressure off of the hips. We're going to bring the arms out to the side, relax through the shoulders. Twisting over to the left, reach for the left leg with the right arm. Folding the chest over the thighs, then roll back up. Twist over to the opposite side and reach. And roll up. And switch. And reach. Roll up. And switch. So you want to keep the back of the legs glued to the ground if you can, and keep the heels from sliding as you twist. So your hips are remaining still, facing the top of the mat. So there's no shifting through the spine. Last twist. And then roll up through the spine. Relax through the shoulders, and then bring the legs in. We're coming onto our knees. You've option to do this from a cross-leg position, if that works for you. Extend the arms overhead, and then as you inhale, draw the elbows down. Finally, as you squeeze the elbows into the rib cage, exhale through pursed lips. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, squeeze. So you're drawing the shoulders down and away from the ears, and you're pulling elbows into the ribs, contracting that fleshy part or section of the back just below your armpits. So you're working through the lats. So looking for active contractions of the muscle, squeezing the shoulder blades together and squeezing the lats. Last time, keep the core engaged so you're not arching through the lower back. And then extend the arms overhead, and then take the hands down to the ground for tabletop. Feet pointed, so you're resting on the tops of your feet. Engage the core so your back is your spine is neutral. I should be able to rest a glass of water on your tailbone and you not spill a drop. Push strongly through the mat. And then we are coming into some scapular shrugs. For this, I want you to focus on squeezing the upper part of your back as you draw the shoulder blades in. So keeping the shoulders down, you're pulling your shoulders back and down to squeeze your scapula, and then retracting it, pulling the shoulder blades apart, creating loads of space. So just draw in, squeeze, and then create that space as you push. So from tabletop, it will look like your chest is lowering down to the ground, but the arms are still long, pushing through the mat, squeezing the shoulder blades, then push. Lower the chest down, squeeze, and push. Really focus. Be mindful about the muscles that you're working and the parts of the body that are moving. So notice my elbows are not bending as my chest lowers to the ground. I'm strongly squeezing through the upper back and the back of the upper arms. Last one. Big squeeze, and then push away from the ground, lift the knees off of the ground, and we're holding this hover. So strong engagement of the core, strong activation of the chest, but you're stretching out the back now After those shrugs, it should feel like a welcome sensation. And we're here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, hold 5, 4, 3, 2, and float the knees down to the ground. So gently shake out the wrists, and then we're going to come into a side bridge. So a full side bridge, but option to modify it and take the lower knee down to the ground. Come up off your heels, gently squeezing the glutes and engage the core so your spine is nice and long. Extend through the arms. Let's take the left hand down to the ground as we extend the right leg. So we're going to extend the bottom leg so the outside edges of our feet are making contact with the mat. Lower down halfway so the outside of the shins touch the ground, and then lift. If you're doing this from a modified position where the bottom leg is bent, then it's the outside of the thigh that makes contact with the ground, and lift. So you're working into the obliques as you lift the hips, and then stretching them out as you lower the hips. 4, 3, 2. Last one. Big reach. Beautiful. Come into a plank, set the knees down, and then shift off of the wrists to shake them out. We're going to change side and work the other side for a bit of balance. So coming back up into a kneeling position, extend the arms out to the side, and we're floating the opposite arm down to the ground, extending the opposite leg. So find your modification that suits you, and then extend through the bottom leg if that works for you. Float the hips down to the ground, outside of the shin touches, and then lift, squeeze into your obliques. Work with that breath. Beautiful. Keep that control, that connection with the breath for 4, 3, 2. Last one. Beautiful. Let's transition into a plank and then float the knees down to the ground. So bring the shoulders over the hands and squeeze your hips, glutes, to lower the hips. So you're creating this smooth line from the crown of the head through the tailbone to the knees. Squeeze the elbows in, then lower the chest halfway down. And strong push as you exhale on the way up. Inhale, lower down. Exhale to press. Core engaged. Control the movement. Find that strength and power to lift the chest. Last one. Lowering halfway down to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. Big push. 1. Away from the ground. Shift back. Come onto your heels and then give your wrists a shake. Catch your breath. Sip some water. My water is not close enough. Here we go. And then we are coming into a side kneeling position. So we're going back onto the left-hand side, extending the arms. One final sequence in this planking position. Engage the core, extend the right leg, float the left arm down to the ground. So big stretch, big reach. And I want you to thread the needle as you reach in between your thigh and hand. Then inhale, find length through the spine. Thread through. And you find that you're working into your oblique as you reach through. If you haven't got the mobility in the hips, then just release a bit of pressure from the hips by pivoting the leg in. Last one. Come up. And then float, chest over hips. Bring that leg in. Let's change side. Thread through. Big squeeze of the obliques. And then open the chest. Reach for the sky. Last one, keep the core engaged. Big extension through the fingertips. Float up and bring the knees in. So roll the shoulders back. Find that release from the shoulders. And then we are coming into a downward dog. So come through tabletop. It's a modified downward dog before we enter. And the option to go into downward dog is there if your wrists are strong enough. But an alternative is going to be a dolphin hold. So for this, we are taking the forehands beneath the shoulders and then flexing through the feet. I want you to send the hips up and back and extend the arms overhead. So you're now pushing down through the palms and the forearms. It's okay if your heels can't meet the ground. Feel free to bend the knees slightly. And you're looking for length through the edges of the body. So you should feel a stretch through the lats. And the further you can extend through the legs, you will then feel a stretch through the legs as well. Specifically the back of the legs. Then as you inhale, shift your weight forwards, lower down to the knees, and then take a position on your belly. So forehead rests on the ground, glue the thighs together. We're going to take the arms up in front of us or above the head. So we're going for a series of back extensions here, creating a few different shapes. Specifically, we're going for I's, Y's, W's, and T's. So the way this works, as you lift through the head and thighs, extend the arms overhead, and then slowly lower down. Bring the arms out to the side and lift to create the Y shape. Draw the elbows back, creating that W. Extend through the arms, and then slowly lower down. Bring the arms shoulder height, and then lift, squeezing up and back to create that T shape, and slowly lower down. Beautiful work. One more as we float the hands closer to the waist, and then lift, creating that A shape, and slowly lower down. Let's go in reverse. So back to T, lift and squeeze, and lower. Back to Y's, lift, hold, draw it down, squeeze the lats, and extend, and slowly lower down. Bring the arms overhead to create the I shape, lift through the chest and thighs, and lower down. Beautiful work. Bring the hands either side of the chest, flex the feet, and slowly transition through child's pose, stretching out the lower back. Hold the child's pose for 2 breaths. Decompress the back, and then roll up and come onto your back. So rolling down onto your back. One final movement, just to work the abs a little bit more. We're going to bring the hands behind your head, interlace lightly. And we're going to bring the legs to tabletop. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, lift through the chest and head, drawing it closer to the thighs, and extend through the legs. Just one leg, sorry. And then pull back into tabletop, change side, extend, and draw it in. So you're squeezing the top of the thighs, you extend, and then pulling it back in. Keeping the core engaged, shoulders lifted off of the ground. So if you feel like you're resting on the ground, lift more. We're here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Draw it back in. Grab behind the thighs. Pull into the chest. Then exhale. Roll down onto the ground. Lovely work. Let's bring the hands to center, or to the side, sorry. And then bring the thighs together. And send the thighs over to one side. Look over the opposite shoulder. We're looking for a stretch through the lower back and the top thigh. So we did quite a bit in today's workout. Well done, and congratulations for sticking it out this long. We still have more challenges, but we are over that halfway point in the challenge now. Inhale, bring the hips back to center. Pull the thighs over to the opposite side. And look away from the thighs over the shoulder. And bring the hips to center. Pull the thighs into the chest. Gently rock the hips side to side. Decompress the lower back. And then we're coming up into a seated position. Taking the feet hip width apart. Hands behind you. Fingertips pointing away. And inhale, open the chest. Lengthen the spine. You're looking for a stretch through the shoulders and the chest. Try and draw the shoulders away from the ears. One final breath in. And then as you exhale, lengthen through the spine. Circle the arms overhead. Big stretch and exhale, fold forwards. Let the hands float down to the feet, shins, or the ground. Try not to force the stretch. Just let the natural weights of your torso help to lengthen the lower back and the back of the legs. And as you inhale, slowly roll up through the spine to finish off. I want to congratulate you on completing 18 days of this challenge so far. It's been a journey, and we are more than halfway, as I mentioned. There's still a ways to go. So let's keep the momentum up. Let's keep the energy up. And I will see you tomorrow for more. Until then, stay safe. Peace.